He murdered children for a ritual, and people ate the victims. Buyung, Indonesian's serial killer. So let me tell you about one of the most disturbing serial killer cases that happened in Indonesia. And when I say disturbing, I mean genuinely hard to sit through. Not because it's some old legend from 100 years ago, not because it sounds exaggerated like an urban myth, but because this happened recently, in 2014, in Riau. Real victims, real families, real children. And the reason behind the murders somehow makes it even worse, because the killer believed he could gain supernatural powers by murdering people and using their body parts in rituals. Yeah, I know, it sounds too insane to be real, but it is. And the deeper I went into this case, the more uncomfortable it became. There were moments where I genuinely had to stop reading for a second because it was just awful. This is the story of Muhammad Delfi, also known as Buyung, a quiet young man from Riau who became one of Indonesia's most horrifying serial killers. Muhammad Delfi was born on December 12, 1994, in Bengkalis Regency, Riau Province, in a village called Duri. By most accounts, Buyung seemed pretty normal growing up. Quiet, reserved, sometimes moody, but nothing that made people think, yeah, this kid is going to become a monster someday. But his family situation was very unusual. His father, Basri Tanjung, was a well-known shaman in their village in Perawang Siak Regency. People regularly came to their house asking for spiritual healing, protection, rituals, mystical advice, things like that. The family also sold satay, but apparently the shaman work brought in more respect and influence. Now imagine being a child growing up around that environment. People constantly treating your father like he has supernatural abilities. People fearing him, respecting him, believing he has power. To a teenager, that probably feels huge. And I think this is something people often miss in cases like this. Sometimes evil doesn't start with violence. Sometimes it starts with normalization. If you grow up hearing something long enough, eventually your brain stops questioning it. After Buyung's mother died in 2010, things got even more intense. He was only around 16, and now it was just him and his father living together. That meant his father's influence became even stronger. Buyung started participating more deeply in occult rituals, bathing in water collected from 7 springs mixed with 7 flowers, spiritual cleansing rituals, fasting, mystical practices. To most people that sounds bizarre, but for him, it was normal life. And eventually, Buyung became obsessed with the idea of inheriting his father's powers. Then came the moment that changed everything. His father told him he had the potential to become spiritually powerful, invulnerable, clairvoyant, supernaturally gifted. But there was a condition. And this is where the story becomes genuinely horrifying. According to his father, Buyung needed specific male body parts to complete the rituals and gain these powers. Most people would hear that and immediately think, what the hell is wrong with this man? But Buyung didn't react that way. He believed it. Completely. And honestly, that's what scares me the most about this case. Not just the violence itself, but how deeply someone can fall into a belief system until murder starts feeling justified, especially when that belief comes from a parent. In 2013, at just 19 years old, Buyung committed his first murder. The victim was a 5-year-old boy known as FD, a child who used to play near the family's satay stall. That detail breaks my heart, by the way, because it means the child trusted him. The family probably trusted him too. Buyung lured the boy into a secluded bush area. And what happened next is truly difficult to talk about. Police later revealed that the child was mutilated while still alive. Buyung drank the victim's blood before killing and burying him. I'm sorry, but that is beyond horrifying. I can't even imagine how awful this is for the victim's family to hear. And the worst part? After the murder, Buyung didn't feel remorse. Instead, he felt validated, like the ritual was working. like he was getting closer to becoming powerful. That's terrifying, because once someone crosses that line and convinces themselves the violence has purpose, it becomes much easier to do it again. After the first murder, Buyung moved briefly to Siak Regency and worked delivering gallon water. And this is another thing that makes serial killer cases so unsettling. They often look completely normal. No dramatic warning signs, no creepy movie soundtrack following them around. Just a regular guy going to work. Then Buyung married a woman named Dita Desmala Sari, someone he had known since junior high school. At first, it probably looked like a normal young relationship, but behind closed doors things became dark very quickly. Buyung forced Dita to help him find victims. When she refused, he threatened to kill her too. And I know some people will ask, why didn't she just leave? But fear changes people. When someone believes they could die if they disobey, survival mode takes over. Dita eventually became involved out of terror. Their next victim was a 40-year-old man with mental disabilities identified as AC. They lured him to a remote area. And somehow this story keeps getting worse because Buyung forced Dita to seduce the victim first to confirm he was physically healthy enough for the ritual. I'm sorry, but what even is this case? Every new detail somehow becomes more disturbing. At this point, Buyung had completely stopped seeing people as human beings. They were just objects for rituals, tools, ingredients. That mindset is genuinely terrifying. And then the murders continued. Mostly children. A 9-year-old boy named MH, who loved fishing. Buyung and Dita convinced him to go fishing with them before taking him somewhere isolated and killing him. Then another boy, RH, age 10. They lured him with promises of snacks. That part makes me so angry because kids trust so easily, especially in smaller communities where everyone knows each other. That trust became a weapon. And according to investigators, Buyung genuinely believed each murder was bringing him closer to supernatural power. When his father died in March 2014, instead of stopping, Buyung became even more obsessed, almost like he felt responsible for continuing the legacy. Dita eventually couldn't handle it anymore and left him. But that still didn't stop him. Buyung recruited another accomplice named Supian, a slaughterhouse worker. And this next part genuinely made me feel sick reading it. Buyung offered Supian money for every victim. 500,000 rupiah. That's it. A human life reduced to a transaction. Then the case took an even darker turn. Because after murdering another child, Buyung couldn't pay Supian what he promised. So instead of stopping, they came up with one of the most horrifying ideas imaginable. They decided to dismember the victim and sell the body parts as beef. Yeah, I wish I was making that up. The victim was a 10-year-old boy identified as FM. After killing him, they cut the body into pieces, packed them into plastic bags, and sold them to local food stalls. Real food stalls, real customers. Families unknowingly ate human flesh thinking it was beef. I'm mind blown every time I read that part. Like, imagine being one of those food stall owners and later discovering what you serve to your own family. One elderly woman reportedly fed the meat to her grandchildren. That is such a horrifying thing to live with psychologically. They were victims too. And this is why I think this case became so infamous in Indonesia. Because the horror spread far beyond the direct murders. It affected entire communities. Thankfully, the case finally began unraveling because of a witness. Someone saw Buyung and Supian taking FM toward a forested area. Police had already been investigating multiple disappearances, so this became their biggest lead. On July 22, 2014, Buyung was arrested at a relative's house in Duri, and once investigators started questioning him, he confessed everything, coldly. No dramatic breakdown, no emotional apology. Just confession after confession about the murders and the rituals. And psychologically, this is what fascinates and terrifies me at the same time. Because Buyung wasn't killing primarily for money. He wasn't even killing purely for sadistic pleasure like some serial killers. He truly believed these murders had spiritual meaning. That's what makes dangerous belief systems so terrifying. If someone becomes convinced that violence serves a higher purpose, morality starts disappearing. The trial was devastating. Victims' families attended. Community members attended. One of the food stall owners who unknowingly sold human flesh attended too. I genuinely cannot imagine the trauma everyone involved carried after this case. On February 12, 2015, Buyung, Dita, and Supian were sentenced to death. Buyung appealed multiple times. Every appeal failed. As of today, he remains on death row awaiting execution. Meanwhile, Diki Pranata, a teenager who helped dismember one of the victims, initially received a prison sentence before later being acquitted on appeal. Which, I'm not going to lie, is still very controversial. What disturbs me most about this case isn't just the brutality. It's how ordinary it all started. A child growing up under influence, blind belief, manipulation disguised as spirituality, and slowly, over time, the moral boundaries disappeared completely. This case also reminds us that predators rarely look like monsters. They can look quiet, polite, helpful, normal. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous. 7 innocent people lost their lives because of one man's obsession with supernatural power. Most of them were children. Children who trusted adults around them. That's the part I keep coming back to, because childhood is supposed to feel safe. And in this case, trust itself became the trap. To this day, the Buyung case remains one of Indonesia's most horrifying modern criminal cases. Not just because of what happened, but because it forces us to confront something deeply uncomfortable. How easily belief, manipulation, and desperation can turn someone into something unrecognizable.